All right. Welcome to FIFO, the new podcast. This is episode 5 with Samnang and your co-host Danny Merwinski. He's got a new logo back there behind his head. He's gonna talk about it, but it looks pretty dope. But we're
Thanks, man.
excited. This is episode 5
Episode 5.
of our podcast, and it's still new, it's still brand new, and we're still learning and just kind of getting into the swing of things. And we thought about talking about it on this episode that I asked Danny some questions because I didn't realize how much knowledge and experience he had until we started getting into this thing. And this podcast, like when we talk about it, it's really organic. I was like, holy shit! I just got like you guys seen that movie with Will Ferrell? It's like with his best friends. It's like, yo, did we just become
Did
like
we
best
just become
friends
best friends?
on a podcast live? Like,
Yeah, right, dude.
like it's
It's so
wild,
true,
right?
man. Like both of us, like though, like in that, I've gained so much from you. Although I fucked up today, which I have to fix it. I slept in. I literally like Sam Manglis hit me up, dude. I got to give you credits, man. You were so polite on the hit up. You were like, "Hey, just checking in. Are you just like tinkering with that new hosting environment?" And I was like, "Fuck, no. I just woke up. It's like 20 minutes behind. Like I was actually an hour and a half slept in. Yikes."
Dude,
So
I got a cool story. I do want to tell it because now that we have FIFO, I could tell cool stories and stuff, and
that's it.
people can listen. Dude, it's a crazy story. It happened this weekend. So Saturday. Um, Saturday, I had the girls this weekend, Zena and Zara, and we typically start the day pretty early, like 6 a.m. and stuff. And then going through the day, took them to the gym and took them to the mall, and it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was like tired by then. Like they were playing in the playpen, and they were like pushing each other. They were playing like King of the Hill and everything, and then I was on my phone. I was checking Peak Performance Academy and everything, just you know, maybe like doom scrolling or something. But this dude like came up and was like, "Hey man, why don't you get off your phone and watch your kids and stuff?" And I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, these are fucking fighting words, dude. I was heated. Like I was like pretty calm. Like I had
Oh
worked
my
out and
gosh.
everything, been meditating and everything. My rage just went like literally. I didn't know what to do. What I did was I literally stood up like 5'4" of me. Like I'm not a tall dude, like 5'4", right? Stared this dude straight in the eye, like death face. That's all I did. I was like, uh, my brother Soda is a Muay Thai coach, and
Oh my
he's trained me
gosh.
and everything. He was like, in a fight, you win by that stare down, and I stared
Yep.
this dad's dude down, right?
Oh, shit.
I stared him down. I was like death face. It wasn't like you go from like this to like this, right? When you do like
Right,
the
right,
the
right.
third eye chakra, like death face, and then he broke eye contact first, and I was like, holy shit, right? I was like, normally my adrenaline would have been like raised, but it was actually still low. There, I was kind of like thinking, like that was kind of like crazy. And then I thought about it. I was like, I need to go say something because he was like hanging out there. And then when like I went to go walk it, like this guy was teaching his kid to like elbow, and like his daughter was like I think like
What?
6 years. Yeah, I was like, what the
What?
fuck, dude? So
What
like he's
the
like doing
fuck?
it because Zara, I think they were playing King of the Hill, and like Zara shoved her, and like she started crying, like, and then the dad was like, that was the one that yelled at me, and
Oh, it's
right,
because your kid was taking down their kid, and then he was like,
yeah.
"Oh, that dad doesn't care."
And he was like
Got it.
literally teaching her to like. I was like, bro, it's not that fucking serious.
Oh
So I
my
came up, I went up to that guy. I was like, hey man, like, shook his hand. I was like, hey, I'm sorry that happened to your kid, man. But I was like, that was completely unnecessary. I hate getting fucking disrespected. I shook his hand and looked him straight in the face, right? And then I was like, oh shit, right? Still like everything like happening. And I
Dude,
went back
that's
to
a
sit.
that's a pretty empathetic moment of you. Of you should actually be proud of that hindsight, looking back at that you shook the dude's hand and like
That's why I'm
this
telling
guy.
the story.
Yeah, I mean, he clearly disrespected you. Clearly, I would have been pissed. Like
I was pissed.
pissed. I would have been like, and I'm again, dude. Look, when it comes to disrespecting me and including my kids into the mix,
Yeah,
I don't care if it's you on the other side of that. I'm gonna step to you. I might get my ass beat, but hey, that's the nature of the beast. But yeah, I mean
true.
that took a. I'm proud of you, man. Like to take a moment
Thanks.
like that. I love, and I think that that's so important, man. The stare down part of it, I think
Yeah,
is so important because that's that moment where like you took a moment before you did anything, but in your mind, you were still like, giving them the
yeah,
fuck you look, right? So
yeah. I
like
was
your
like, you
eyes, your
just,
body language, and everything else was screaming "fuck you, douchebag." But you still remain composed, and that gave you enough
yeah,
time to then formulate, okay, this is what I'm going to go do without getting into a fight with a dad at a
yeah.
playground.
Even like now, I can feel my adrenaline going up. But so I go back and sit down. I'm like, fuck. And then the lady next to me, she was like, dude, that dude was an asshole. I was like, yeah, thanks for saying that. I appreciate that. So it made me feel like validated.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That's that woo woo.
Can I tell you something? I
Yeah.
didn't like this dude. Like I'm only like 5'4.5", but like I'm pretty lean and shredded. Like I look like an athlete. But this guy was just as lean and just as jacked as me, but like 6'4", and he looked like he had a military like background. I stared. I didn't care what the fuck he looked at. I just looked him straight dead in the eye. I was like, and he was like tall as shit. Anyway, like past like a white tall white guy. I was like 40%. I was pretty proud of myself because like literally later, I looked around like he was gone. I was like, because I was like, I was cool, but he was gone. I was like, I think I just punked him.
Yeah, dude. You Goggins, you stole his soul.
I did, yeah. I looked at him straight dead in the eye, man. It was like that was a cool story though. But like
That is
that was
cool,
me.
man.
My brother, like literally, my brother was like, stare him down. You win in the fight with the stare down, and that came to that moment. That was like that fucking like blood sport, like right at the moment you needed that, that sensei.
Dude, that's a good takeaway for anybody listening to this. Like you get yourself in one of those moments, it could be at work, it could be any of those things, right? Where it's like something disrespectful. That's like, I don't know, I love that, man. I'm gonna try it myself when things happen where I get elevated to just stare for a second.
Yeah,
And I think that you can adjust your stare too, right? Like there could be the like fuck you stare, but there's also just like the blink stare, like
yeah,
like just to give it a second to process, just to buy yourself that time so you don't just go reactive, you're being proactive. I love that, dude. I love that.
dude. That was a crazy story. I was like, man, did
That
I
is
say something?
wild, man.
But
That is
now we have FIFO where we just talk about it and stuff. But
then
shout out
see
to my
this is it,
brother.
dude. But that's it, man.
Yeah,
Like, and that's what matters, And the other thing that's interesting about this too, and like I don't know, man. I'm still like just still so fascinated with what we're doing. And it's not because I think it's like something so like we're groundbreaking, the next Joe Rogan, blah blah. Like I'm not none of that shit. I just find it fascinating that, quite frankly, we really just didn't know each other, and still barely know each other,
yeah,
and
we're
just
still
like
learning.
hopping
Yeah,
on and juking and John and like those little stories, man, are great, man. I've learned every one of these episodes we've done. I've learned something more. I have woo woo running through the back of my head now since the last episode because we went over woo woo,
yeah, me too. There's more
and
woo coming, dude.
dude, and I'll tell you, like I'm gonna try it. I almost pulled it out, and my
It
kid and my
doesn't work
wife.
100%. It doesn't work 100%. I can tell you that. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
say
was I was
60%. It works, but doesn't work 100%.
yeah, I gotta try it. But it was, dude, nonetheless, man. Like that's the beauty of this thing, man. It's just fun to like learn more about one another and share
Yeah,
stories, dude.
yeah.
And then real quick, I know you want to interview me, but I do have one just exciting question for you. You're
Okay.
fucking live, brother. We got like
Yeah.
16, 18 folks you said in there.
Yeah, 16 now, which is cool. Right? And just
That's
letting
awesome,
people
man.
in and stuff, like starting the party early and stuff, just getting them excited. I got some free content in there, premium content, different from what I post on Instagram, but more like programs and coursework. Tonight, I'm going to do. a live coaching call, and coaching call is how to compound habits to elevate your vibrations. They're gonna have like themes.
Oh,
So I'm gonna do one big concept a week. So the goal is to do 52 big concepts for the whole year to change your year. That's like my theme. That's my goal. So
love it.
I'm putting the coursework and outlines and doing the notes and stuff. So the live coaching call, if they don't attend, it's gonna be archived and everything, so they can watch it later and just make the community more valuable as it goes and stuff. But there's a lot of stuff going on. We could talk about it all day, but
Oh, I
I'll
know.
post it
But
on.
no, congrats,
we could.
man. I just want to congratulate you because I know like we're releasing this a little later than everything happens, but it just happened,
It
in
just
the last episode last week went live. So I was checking in on it, seeing how
more
you're doing.
content. Yeah, the support's been great. Talked to uh, Whitney, my first wife, and everything. She's full on board, supportive of everything.
That's
And I
awesome.
guess that kind of leads into like since we're putting ourselves out there a little bit more, I want to talk about like how uh, because I had a conversation with Zena and Zara's mom, my first wife, about like privacy for kids and everything. We're talking about like
Mm.
not getting them involved into the social media. And now I know that you did some like RV YouTube blogging, and now you're kind of putting yourself out there again. How do you how do you handle that with like the family and social media and marketing and stuff?
So it's really personal preference, right? And like, and it's really up to you and where you guys land on the spectrum of how you want to do it, right? Like, let me give you two examples. One, you have I know of families that will their kids never had a digital picture, right?
Hmm.
Like by digital picture, I mean like live on the internet. Any picture that they've had, they put an emoji over their face and they protect their kids' privacy. Now, I'm sure when the kid gets older and they become an adult, they can make their choices, but
To
that's how
remove.
they're going about it, right? And then you have the other end of the spectrum, which is like myself and my family and my wife. My wife, we have New Family Dream was our vlog. It's still live, and my wife is still very active on that Instagram account, New Family Dream, and she's constantly sharing our kids all the way from our newborn
Okay.
upward, right? So here's the truth of what's out there with AI and all this deep fake stuff. So not to freak people out, but it is the truth. With all the deep fake stuff, there is activity on the dark web where people are taking kids' identities and they're
Hmm.
doing everything from opening up credit cards and bank accounts with their and using their face essentially and then reverse engineering to get back down to their socials and all sorts of crazy shit like that, right?
Yeah, sounds kind of
There's
crazy.
always going to be foul players. Um, and we do take a risk, right? The other thing that I've also heard of is like families sharing, like, part of the thing on marketing, like what we're doing, you and I, we're growing in public. Okay.
Hmm.
It's a new concept. It's kind of the trend right now. And I think I don't think it's just a trend. I think it's like an ongoing thing that's just a part of our lives now that we're in the digital age like this. Because we as human beings, we gravitate towards authenticity and
Yeah.
true stories that actually gives us real value back. Because if there's anybody that's aspiring to even get to the level that we're at, and not even to say that you and I have like we're like multimillionaires made it, but even just to get to this point, right? Of like I'm wanting to do a podcast, I just can't
Yeah.
do it, right? To be able to see the steps and how we're doing it and to document and grow in public like this and like, hey, we started with Zoom calls and recorded that. Now we're on Riverside,
Hmm.
so check it out if you guys haven't checked out Riverside. I'm excited to see what it does, but pretty cool. But nonetheless, those steps on how we started doing it, I think people like that, right? So in the other side, like my wife, her mission and like our ongoing mission is to do what's called world schooling, which is
World
basically
schooling.
travel the world and then bring the curriculum to different locations across the world. So we're
Yeah.
starting that. We have our first trip this year. We're flying out to Italy. We're going to be living in Italy for 3 months It's through a program called Boundless
Nice.
Life, and the boys got accepted into it. It's like a Finnish school. There's 25 other company or families that all do this cohort, and it's all for them. So Jude's starting his first semester of first grade in Italy,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
cool.
that's been an ongoing mission of my wife and I since before we had kids.
So
So we started.
that's that term you use, digital nomad. When you said that, I was like, I haven't heard of it before, but I think I could kind of think basically like what you're explaining is what a digital nomad is.
Yeah, I mean, well, part of it, right? I think digital nomad in a lot of regards is being able to earn a living through your computer from anywhere in the world.
Okay. Like I could do
So
that if I wanted to.
yeah, and that's it, right? So that's something that we've pushed ourselves to, and like that's one of the big reasons why I left snowboarding was because I realized
Uh,
snowboarding, as great as it was, a there wasn't much money
yeah,
even at the U.S. team level. Like those dudes get paid like 30, 40 grand from the US teams for coaching. Their expenses are paid, but like all of their expenses, which is great. But they're traveling, they're 24/7 with the athletes, right? It's
hmm,
kind of like working with the SEAL teams. I always equate it to that, right? So when you go deployed on a SEAL team,
yeah,
they before you get deployed, they come in and they're like, okay, you got any financial issues? We'll take care of it. You got any marital issues? We'll put you into counseling. Like get all of your personal shit right. So that way when you're going off on the mission, that's all you're focusing on and the rest of your life is taken care of and you don't have to stress it. Right.
yeah,
So it's the same concept when you're at that level of an athlete. And I'm sure you've even experienced it too. Like when you go up on stage for bodybuilding, where it's like you need all your shit taken care of so that way you can just focus on performing at that moment, and that's the only thing that you focus in on. You if you have anything going on in the back of your mind up there, you'll be distracted, you won't do as good of a performance. Same rules apply in that space. So the coaches there, it's their entire lives, and I realized that if I wanted to give the life to a family that I wanted to start the way that I wanted to, I need to leave. So the best
yeah,
option for me, and this is pre-COVID, so like getting a remote job pre-COVID was extremely difficult. It was like a chicken and the egg. It was like, and I applied
hmm,
to a ton of them. It was
hmm.
like, oh yeah, well we hire remotely. Do you have what's your experience with remote work? I'm like, well, I have none, but I'm trying to get some. And they're like, oh well, we can't hire you unless you have experience, right? So that's when I started doing my own thing in the digital space, just to be able to bring me back to that life. But to wrap it full circle back to your question about do you show your kid's face? Do you not? Again, I think that that's really like it's up to the parents and it's their personal, decision. I think that there's definitely value in having your kids make that decision,
Yeah,
right? Like I feel like even with religion, I'm teaching my sons about all the different types of religions. Like I don't want them just to learn one thing. This is what
yeah,
daddy grew up. I grew up Catholic. I'm not practicing, but I grew up Catholic. So now you're Catholic. Like I don't like to push and instill beliefs like that.
yeah,
I like to share a wide variety of it. And then when they get to the right age, they can make the decision of what they want to believe.
yeah,
Um, so there is, I think, that part of it. And then on the flip side, though, I think it also just depends on what message you're trying to give back to the world. For my wife, she's trying to help encourage other families, other mothers, other parents
yeah.
to
So
like
she
say,
needs, yeah.
"Hey, we're going to go world school, but we haven't figured it out, and we're trying to figure it out, and these are the steps that we're taking."
Right,
Um,
right.
you
That is
know,
where you gain the support and everything, showing the struggle, showing the behind the scenes and stuff and the grind, and that's where I think that's where the authentic brand is something that you really taught me, and which is awesome because I've been asking for feedbacks from like my close friends of like how do you see my content, and they were like it's authentic. It's hard. It's stuff that people need to hear. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to go for. It's like, I realize like I'm a coach myself. It's like I don't need to sugarcoat anything. It's like you get to the point, right? And you like telling me and reaffirming things about like when I put myself out there and ask for people to go join the community or do something, you reminded me like, dude, you had to say something 90 times before somebody actually gets it. I was like, Dude, that reminded me.
Facts.
I was like, that was like facts, and I was like, that's 100%. I was like, and that helped me, like keep that in the back of mind. Another coach is helping me, but I mean, the time we're together is like very valuable nuggets and everything. So it like helps me, helps everyone, and the way you put that was very thorough, and how you put it and everything. It's not like do this way or do that way. It's more just kind of like think about what you
You
want and
got to
what
make the
brand you want.
decision, man. Look, it's like anything in parenting, and I think that there is there isn't a single perfect parent in this world, right? And we're all just out there doing our best, and we're all trying to make the best decisions for our kids based off of our life and based off of our
Yeah,
lenses. So when it comes to digital, like I went through and I got like all my kids' names, like social handles. I'm getting their domains, and then they'll get that at some point down their life, but at least they have it, right? So I'm
yeah,
buying up digital currency, or like digital real estate, I should say, that's around my kids' names,
yeah.
and then that way they have it down the road. Who knows if they're going to use it or not, or if I'm just going to waste $12 a month, for every domain that I get until they're like, Dad, I don't, I'll
That's
never do
valuable.
anything. But
My best
like, oh, go ahead.
my best friend bought samnangman.com for me like a few years after college, and it's just been in the back of my head, and I've been trying to launch it, but I finally figured it out. But it's always been in the back of my head because I've had this for like 10 years now.
I
I
mean,
just
dude, but
never.
at least you had it, right? And that's the
Yeah,
thing, because like when you decide to like, okay, I'm gonna go try and do something. I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm gonna, try to amass an audience and help the world or whatever, right? If you decide to start doing that and it starts working, and then you do amass an audience, but you haven't taken your name on a
yeah,
domain yet, all it's going to take is for someone to be like, business opportunity. Like, let's say that you were Joe Rogan and you never got your domain until you had a quarter million, half a million subscribers.
yeah,
I mean, now you're, whether they're as a subscriber or not, there's a business opportunity there. If someone buys up joerogan.com, well, guess what? You're going to pay a premium for it, right?
yeah,
And so that's the idea. It's like kind of protecting those digital assets. But a lot of it's personal preference, man. Like, it's what you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with it, don't force it. Like
yeah,
you have to want to like share your family and something as intimate as your kids and
yeah,
the good, the bad, the ugly. You have to like have a purpose, in my opinion, behind it. If you don't have a purpose, like if your purpose is to show a picture of your kids to update your friends and family, great. That's fine. Like if you're treating your social media accounts as like, I just keep it to my friends, my family, it's still out there public, it's still live.
okay,
Snapchat,
yeah.
it disappears in 24 hours. It doesn't. It actually lives on
It
perpetually
lives
in
somewhere.
metadata. And I can go grab the metadata and I can plop it into a video editor and I can recreate Snapchats
Shit.
from,
So my stories, I thought my stories were gonna disappear because I was saying some
dude,
ridiculous
all
stuff on
those
my
dick
stories.
pics are coming back to haunt you, bro.
I'm not sending dick pics, but I was like, man, if somebody catches wind of me talking shit back when I was under, I was in a lot of stress and I was saying some fucking mean shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just look at it as like, okay, am I comfortable with this with permanently being on like my record, my digital
Yeah,
record for the rest
yeah,
of my life,
yeah.
then
Point
if
taken
you
for
can
sure.
be comfortable with that, then put it out there. If not, then and again, like have that purpose, like
Yeah, point taken.
have that purpose. If you're gonna share your kids, I think it is a big decision, especially nowadays with deep fakes and AI and everything else. So,
Yeah,
you know, um,
very, very thorough on that question. So let me ask you this question about that new logo sign that you have back there. It looks dope. It looks
thanks,
sick.
man.
It aligns with the Peak Performance brand. I was like, oh shit, dude. I was like, everything's like lining up. You know what I'm saying? I think for me, entrepreneurship and just kind of like going for it. The reason why I think we're good friends is because I'm going a direction and you're going a direction, and we're helping each other out, right? And
Hmm.
I'm just like, my message is, if anybody wants to come with us, join us. That's
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Be a
That's
part
the
of the
message.
journey.
It's like I'm not gonna hate anybody for not joining us on a journey, but I think this is gonna be a fun ride for like all of us. Like I think just learning and just helping raise vibrations and stuff. So Tell us
100%.
about the mountain, the logo. I love it. It's
Thanks, man.
iconic.
Yeah.
It's iconic, like
So,
snowboarding, right?
well, it's funny that you say that. Yeah, there is snowboarding to it. Here, I'll show you this. This will be live by the time we do it, anyways. I think I can share my screen. So, this will give you an idea of where we've been and then where we're at. And this will help tell the story as to why I switched. So, we just rebranded. Well, we're finishing off the rebrand. My new
It's
website should be live.
exit built, right?
Exit built. Yep. Um,
And you'll explain the
so,
story behind the name too.
yeah, man. So let me just pull up. I wasn't prepared to pull my stuff up here. Give me one sec. But the big thing for us. Let me see if I can remember my password.
Yeah, we're on a new platform now. We're not on Zoom. We're on like this cool new studio that Danny
Riverside.
researched and everything, Riverside. So he's using that. I'm using School, which is new. I'm learning it as well too, and I'm literally learning it on the wing, taking a mastermind class and just watching courses and troubleshooting throughout the day. So it's live.
Hey, man, the best way to do this stuff, honestly, is just to do it. Like, I found that to be so true. Here's the thing. Like,
5-0.
yeah, I mean, you can look. You can you can learn just about anything right now, right? Like straight up, you can learn just about anything. You have access to
Yeah,
Google, ChatGPT, all this stuff, right?
just the
So one,
willingness. I think it's just the
like, I
willingness,
mean,
man.
I'll be totally real with you. I've never, like, I've worked, one of my clients has a podcast. I don't do anything with it. I do his SEO work for his site. I've never stood up a podcast from scratch before, ever, period.
Oh, you haven't?
I feel, no, but I feel very confident in just my background because I've done so much in the digital
Yeah,
space
yeah,
that, like, okay, I can figure this out. So that's why it was like a Zoom recording. I didn't come in with this, right? I've never shared on, like, I mean, I've shared on YouTube. I'm familiar with that, but I've never shared a podcast. I've never gotten into Spotify, and now I'm understanding it all. And like because I have the background, I can pick it up a little bit faster than most. But
yeah.
nonetheless, that's
Similar to what I'm doing. It's literally like school I've never done. I've never funneled anybody into the community. I've never done live coaching calls or put a podcast together. So it's just kind of go with the flow, like FIFO, like the
that's
acronym
it,
is
man.
trying to
Figure it
say.
the fuck
Just
out. Like you got
when
sometimes
you're
you just got to do it.
when you're like in there, like you don't know what to do. FIFO, say FIFO, and be like, all right, I gotta figure it out. You could
That's
just
it.
fucking message somebody in the community. Just put your concerns, and we'll help.
That's it. So here's my original site, my original logo. Okay, and this
Exit
this
bill.
this was built back in April of last year. So when I went
Yeah.
back into business, so actually Exit Built's been around since June, July of 2022. And originally started because I had a SaaS startup that basically wanted to leverage my services, but they couldn't afford me. So instead, they're like, hey, we'll give you equity into the
Hmm.
company
Yeah.
if you help us grow on the digital front. So that's how it started, right? And so I was like, oh, cool, exit built. That makes sense. And then the whole concept was like helping companies be built to exit
Okay.
from a digital front. And I dealt with a lot of startups, a lot of tech startups, and all of them had a very similar story, which was like they come up with a big idea or concept. Maybe they do a little proof of concept, right, to show that like they have some type of working prototype. They go out, they pitch it to investors, they win investor money, they dump all of that investor money into development of their product. They develop the
Hmm.
product, and then they have no audience and they have no sales. And then they're running out of capital, and now they're getting
Uh,
pressure from the investor to go sell the product, and they're struggling, and that's the biggest struggle. And it's I think a lot of people don't realize that like that's a business, right? It's not like so you win it. I invest $1 million into samnangming.com. Well, how do you deploy that capital to 4x, 5x, 10x that number on your
scale
return? As an investor, like that's why we pick stocks. You're doing the same thing. If any of you guys are retail stockbrokers and you're buying, different little stocks here and there, you're buying a stock because you're buying a piece of that company and you're betting that that company is going to make more money, therefore
Yeah.
making their stock more valuable, more people will buy it, and then therefore giving you a return on your investment. That's the idea of buy low, sell high,
Yeah.
right? It's the same rules apply in the private equity space. You're buying stock in a company, and then how you deploy that money, the company owner, is up to the company owner. So we built Exit Build originally to come in and help these startups to build an audience, build funnels, close
Yeah.
deals. And then the original concept was that we would take the equity up front. So let's say that we would invest into you, or you got investment, right? You'd be like, all right, Danny, gonna give you 10% of samnangming.com. Go grow it for the first year. After the
Hmm.
first year, you would have the option to buy that equity back and get us off your cap table, right?
Okay.
But at the
Yeah.
current valuation. So if your current valuation is a big old goose egg zero because you haven't sold anything, we take your company to where you're making $1 million in gross revenue. Now you have valuation, call it $5 million on a valuation. 10% of 5 million is 500 grand. So then you would pay us $500,000. You would get your equity back. You would be whole, plus whatever investor that you had, and you would have a system that you could go off and earn, right? Or if we really like the partnership and we think we're going to continue to work it out and we want to be owners, we would continue that relationship until we have a bigger exit. So that
Yeah.
was the original concept behind Exit Built.
Hmm.
And it puts us in a position where we have a ton of risk, and I just don't have that level of capital stocked up to where I can afford to pay a staff on a whim that we believe that is going to work, right? There's just too much, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how great your sales are. It doesn't matter how great your funnel is or how awesome you are at digital marketing. If your product sucks,
Right.
it's never going to work, right? Like it does come back down to that product. So that's how it started. So then fast forward, to the beginning of last year when I left my chief growth officer role and I formally started up Exit Built. I knew I wanted to start a digital marketing company, and I really like the name Exit Built. I got the URL. It's easy, right? That's a very important piece for starting a
Yeah.
business, is that I can just say the
Easy.
name and you can go type it up. You remember it and you can type it up and it goes right to the site. So I really like the name. And then I realized, like, okay, Exit Built, we like the new mission of what we're doing with Exit Built is that we're helping companies
Hmm.
exit the digital marketing dependency.
Yeah.
Because in digital marketing agencies, there's a lot of foul players, a lot of people that take advantage of all sorts of businesses. Like one of my clients does 40 million in gross revenue, and they got totally taken advantage of, even at that level, right? Like it doesn't matter
Wow.
like how successful they are, but they had a website built, an e-commerce store built, and the former marketing agency put in a proprietary plugin that runs the entire site that only that marketing agency owns, and they own all the IP. So then all of a sudden, like if you think about it, if I did that to you with Sam Ning Ming, man, if you wanted to make an update, you would have to go through me, and
Wow.
I would charge you. And I would just keep doing that. And now I'm sticky in your organization. You can't get rid of me because there's this thing that's running all of your online processes that you don't control. So there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of companies that do that type of shit. So our
Mm.
differentiator was that we're just honestly coming out here and doing honest work in the ownership of other businesses. And if we do our job well, we end up working ourselves out of a job.
Yeah.
So the goal for us is to not just deliver a website and a lead gen package that is all working, but also to empower the company to take control over that. And then they can hire internally, or they may end up still using us. And 9 times out of 10, what happens is after we deliver the capability and we teach them how to do it, they realize that it's more cost effective just to hire us to continue to do the work. But at
Yeah.
least they own it all, right? So the idea was like, okay, we're built to help you exit that digital marketing dependency.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely. I can see.
this is the original logo. That's a long story as to how we started, but the original logo was the idea of like an exit sign, but with the word built. And it was this black and red and like just this like really shocking, like get your attention, harsh colors. And I did this intentionally because I wanted to make a splash, make an impact. We did close one business because of this, because they thought it was so bold. They're like, oh, it's pretty bold to go with, the black and reds.
Yeah.
Um, but it was time for us to mature and grow up.
Right.
So I'm, and this is actually does relate back to my snowboarding brand. So I'm very much into branding. I love branding. As you can tell, I'm always wearing one of our shirts. And I'm a big fan of telling the brand story through other vehicles as opposed to just talking about the brand. And that's
Yeah.
why I don't ever do content on social media about Exit Build or what we do. I will never do it that way. I share content that I believe is valuable for both myself and for the audience, and things that I
Yeah.
think that might help the world if they consume the content. And then I'm always branded with my company, and that way, if they want to know more, they can go look it up,
Yeah.
right?
That's a great strategy,
So
man. I think that's kind of like mine as well too. It's like I'll call to action here and there, but you know I'm out here working.
yeah,
It's like I'm out here working. Help me. I need some support.
exactly.
That's it.
So this is the new site. So you're getting a sneak peek here, and then I'll talk about this
Is the name
logo.
changing or the same?
No, the name's staying the same.
Just the logo. Yeah. It
The
this looks more
logo, the
grown up.
branding colors, everything. So this is the new site.
Uh, exit the
Okay.
noise, built to convert. All right.
So we switched the colors. So my graphic designer is extremely talented, and what I
Wow.
told him was like, okay, it's time to grow up as a company, and I have this vision of like, okay, we're starting to make some like significant revenue. Like, man, if we can continue this trend, it would be really, really cool to sponsor a snowboarder. An up and coming rookie team snowboarder, something of that nature. I'd love to be able to do that by the winter of 2024, 2025 is give back to the snowboarding community because that's something that's a big passion for me still.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I want a logo that you could throw up on a t-shirt and people would be like, that's cool. What kind of logo, what kind of shirt is that?
Yeah. It's
Like,
iconic,
oh,
like I said. It's like it's something that's like simple, but like you know immediately what it is. Like the Nike sign, you know it's a swoosh, it's a Nike. That it's like
right.
if I saw it, I was like, if you kept saying exit built with this and that logo at the same time, I was like, all right, got it. Exit built. Woo woo.
Woo woo. So that was the idea. Is like I wanted something simple. I told him my background was snowboarding. I wanted it to feel like a snowboarding brand, and like have that kind of aspect to where if I did decide to go down the merchandise route, that people would naturally want to buy it just because they think it looks cool, right? So that
Yeah.
was the concept of coming up with the logo. So he came up with a ton of different variations. We settled on this one, and the interesting thing about it, it's got the mountain in the background, right? He also talked about how the mountain could be like a house to represent built, right? It's got an E. It is an E if you look at it closely. So um, if you look
Yeah, I
at it
see
like,
it. Yeah,
let's see. So like
that's
right
dope.
there. Oh,
Yeah, I
this
can
is
see
hard
it.
to do on camera. There we go. There's the E. So it's got the E in there. And then it's got these like little exit points, right? So that was the whole idea. Is just simple. It was easy to replicate, and that's what we did. So then we redid our entire website, and it's just look. This homepage took me probably a solid between myself and my team, probably a solid like 20 hours of work to just get it down to something as simple as this, right? Like I spent a lot of time on this, what we
Yeah,
do, and like our words, right? And in the digital
building a
space,
website is hard as shit. I think even like building my own website, I was like, I decided I was like, if I do build another website, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna hire you.
I
The
mean, I think the
worst.
biggest challenge is like is what do you put on there, right? Like
Yeah,
you like we do in the podcast, like you could go on and on and on about your company, your brand, what makes you different. And at the end of the day, to total strangers, it doesn't matter. Like you need to
yeah,
get
you gotta
straight to the
simplify
point,
it.
and that's
Yeah,
it. So like this
I kept
statement,
it simple. Yeah,
we build websites, we bring you leads, period. That's it. That's what we do.
yeah,
That's it. So you have these
yeah,
two options, right? Two core services, new and existing websites, qualified leads. This is where we get wordy. So if you want to learn about more of what we do, you can come here. I almost guarantee you that anybody that's coming to this site that's brand new and a stranger probably isn't going to read this shit.
yeah.
Um, Here's all of our different like case studies, a few of them.
Dang, you made my
This is our
website look like shit.
scarcity.
I look
Yeah,
like an
right.
amateur compared to yours.
So, oh, dude, don't stress. I mean, that's what we do
I
for a
know.
living, right? So, like,
Yeah.
then here's like our scarcity. This is another important thing that I think a lot of people realize or may not like use that probably could, right? Which is we have a capacity at my company. Our capacity is 15 new projects per month at this given point, unless I work my people to the bone and we ruin our lifestyles. Because right now, to work at Exit Built is kind of cool in the sense that you are in charge of your schedule, you are in charge of your time. So
Nice.
we're all a results based driven company. So if you work for us,
Get the
it's like, cool,
results.
here's your
Yeah.
work, here's your project, go get it done, here's your deadline. Does that mean like if you want to do it in the middle of the night, that's fine. You want to do it while you're sitting at a bar, that's fine. I don't care, but get it
Yeah.
done. So we have a capacity of 15 projects, and currently these are real numbers. We have 6 spots available. This is probably going to change this week because we got a couple deals closing. This is also going to change today, and this is real. We have 42 inquiries about our stuff. This is probably going to grow to probably like 60 to 80 after today. I just have to go
Why
through our
so?
CRM
You
because we
guys.
just got to update it. We update it weekly. So
Yeah. Yeah. Marketing is a
we
whole. It's a whole different beast. Sorry to interrupt you or anything, but
Yeah,
like
no,
that's
no, no. So
something.
that's it, man. I can stop
Yeah.
on that, but that's the logo story. And then this was just my weekend project because my office needed some love. The stuff that I had there before, if you look at previous episodes, were covering up holes.
Yeah.
So I needed to just update the office and get it right. So
Yeah.
that's where we're at.
That's cool, man. Appreciate you sharing the story and everything. I think we're kind of there, but yeah, enjoyed the conversation, learning more about you. Like, I really want to, like, we talk about the ego and contemplating the ego all the time. It's like I don't want to. I feel kind of insecure sometimes when people always ask me questions. I want to ask questions as well too. So I want to dedicate this episode more towards your digital marketing genius. Like, uh, I know pretty good digital marketing and social media. I've been trying to convince some of my friends to kind of hop on this. This is what you need to do if you're an entrepreneur, and kind of some are reluctant to do it. I was like, boldly, I was like, I think if you're not willing to do it, I think it's like better to go to a 9 to 5 job because you gotta brand yourself. You got to, if it's a service like real estate, mortgage, anything in sales, like this stuff helps you. Like I think you said it helps you get jobs. It helps gets recognition, leads. Like when I started my real estate side hustle for 3 or 4 years, while I was working full time, I paid $0 for leads. I was just showing houses, talking about me, my productivity, and all my leads were free. I had probably closed within like 3 or 4 years. I closed like 11 deals with no leads paid, and they
Yeah,
were great leads, like ready to work with me. I didn't have to like drive them around. They knew they wanted to work with me. Of course, it was work, but that work was definitely worth it, and I didn't have to pay that much money besides the time versus like investment and stuff. So
right.
that's a big concept in like business as well too. Like going from, and you could do a pretty simple switch of, and while you're still working at a company, going from uh like a person that clocks in, clocks out versus somebody that looks as time versus value. What can I do to make my time as valuable as possible? Then you have an investor type of mindset, and you look at time as an investment, money as an investment to yourself, and everything. So like the knowledge and wisdom. I know you got a little technical. You might have lost some folks, but I think there's some folks that I know that would really benefit from it. So that's why I ask these questions and I share. And I'm curious myself too. Just like you're curious about me.
Yeah, man. I think for anybody, and this is the like we choose to put our face out there. We choose that's our choice. That's what we want to do. We're comfortable with it, comfortable, but comfortable with it, for the most part to get on there and put ourselves out there on blast. And some people may not be, but
Yeah.
it's not like you don't. And I think that's what people don't realize. Like it's not necessarily that you have to put your face out there. You have to be a personality on the internet. Like you have to do all that stuff. You don't like at the end of the day, you could just be giving quotes, right? You could be giving recipes. about stuff that you like to cook. You could be giving tips about parenting. Never show your face or your kids. It doesn't matter what it is. The thing is like like if you follow your passion, if you follow what you love, right, and like you want to try and create a business around that, if you're trying to make that into like something that can pay you back, then you have to give so much value and consistent value before you ever start to ask and say buy from me. And
Yeah,
if
yeah,
people start to realize that are interested in doing things that like you and I are doing and like going out there and like putting ourselves and like trying to build business online, you have to continue to give, and then give some more. And that's the key of it, right?
yeah,
It's bringing value up front to the world, because that's what's going to build the trust, and then people are going to naturally be interested in you more. They're going to
yeah,
naturally want to look you up. They're going to naturally want to get to know you. And then that's where you draw the line in the sand. Like if someone, I mean, think about it this way, and this will probably happen to you in the near future. I'm predicting it, where
manifesting.
you stay consistent with putting out content, and you're going to have people that are going to start to engage you and ask questions about peak performance, about what you're doing, about maybe a tip or two on like a workout strategy to get their arms bigger, like these types of things. And you're going to engage them. Okay, cool. Do this, do that, and they're going to be like, "Hey, could I hop on a Zoom? Could we meet each other?" And you'd
Yeah,
be like,
yeah,
"Sure, okay, I'll do it. Whatever." Still, no money transacted. Meet them on a Zoom. Talk to them on a Zoom. Well, then the following week, they're like, "Hey, can we hop on again? Hey, could we hop on again? Hey, could we hop on again?" And at some point, you have to draw the line in the sand and say, "Hey, buddy, like
yeah.
you're,
You gotta pay
you're
to play.
asking for me to do all this for free. Like this is a lot of time and energy, and like, and every time that you take time to do stuff, like even what we're doing, this is a piece of our mental bandwidth that we lose for the
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
right? Like, so
Mental bandwidth. Yep.
like we have to. It's a currency, and you posted it too about wisdom is the best currency, right? You posted that
Yeah.
recently,
You like that?
and that's part of it, man. Yeah,
Damn.
I love it. So
Yeah,
like
mental flex.
like that's where I think like once you get to that point where people are naturally just asking more and more and more from you, that's when it's easier and easier and easier for you to put that paywall up to say, if you want the rest of me, you
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
pay.
yeah.
And then once that has a capacity, right? So that has a level that you can handle, call it 20 clients, maybe 25, 30. And then at some point, that's going to be capped. And then you move to the next phase where it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
now everything you're going to get, if you buy, you're going to get pre-recorded, because I can't service everybody, but now I can scale that. So now I went from
Yeah.
20 people to 200 people on pre-recorded. But now if you want access to me, like one-on-one, that's the next tier up. And the next tier up, guess what? Price tripled, quadrupled. But it is what
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is because I can't do all of this, right? So I
Yeah.
start scaling myself until you get to the point where linear transactions, which a linear transaction is I buy your time. I give
Yeah.
you money, you give me time, right? Becomes you basically try to price it out of the market, so that way, the only people that are coming and paying for that are people that are willing to pay you $1,000 an hour and are totally fine with that. And then
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the process of doing that, your value prop goes higher and higher and higher. Your audience gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it makes it so much easier, right? But that's the idea. It's like, but you got to start with ethical capacity and getting to ethical capacity, meaning if you've never really
Yeah.
done it before, load your coffer with free or close to free people, deliver extreme
Yeah.
value on the back end, and then turn around and then
Yeah.
throw up the paywall.
I definitely think this is a very it's the most ethical, I think, way to build like a business where it's authentic brand, communities, free, free, free. I've been given free information, free coaching calls, you know. And I'm gonna put the next e-course is gonna be for a price, but I'm gonna try to figure out what the value price is. Right now I'm currently trying to figure out the membership price to host the community as well too. So that's the biggest struggle that I don't know if any entrepreneur like pricing is big, big struggle, but I guess we're getting near to the end of the show and
Yep.
don't want to go too long and everything, but you definitely shared a lot of nuggets and everything, and I'll
Hey,
definitely
so
refer back to it. Yeah.
two things to catch up this week, because last episode I gave you a challenge, you gave me a challenge.
Yeah.
Now I fucked up this morning and slept in, but that doesn't mean that I still don't have time during the day. So I'm going to do
You
a
can still make
50
it
or
in.
40. a 45-minute workout routine. I'm going to do that
45.
today. I'm planning on doing back and buys and some core. That's my plan of what I'm going to do. So I'm going to commit to that today, and I'm going to follow through on that every day this week because that was our challenge.
All right.
Do you remember your challenge that I gave you?
Yeah, it was to start doing more virality reels, right? Or reels or shorts
With that
and
framework,
with the
hook,
framework. Yeah.
hook, value, payoff.
Yeah, hook value payoff. I'm gonna start. Let me tell you what I hook value payoff. Okay, cool. So I was getting my hair cut. My hair did, and the barber was like, "Yo, you need to jump on TikTok." And I heard you talk about TikTok, and I was like, real reluctant to like do another social media platform. And he was like, "You can go viral." And you started saying like the word virality, and I jumped on my Instagram and I was like, virility. And then like the health and fitness industry, like vitality is like this fucking buzzword, like
Oh yeah, yeah.
virility. And I was
There
like,
it
this is how
is,
you get
dude.
your dick on. But that's what I was like. I did it like right after, just so I could like, okay, at least I did something like right after.
Nice.
So that was a step. But I really want to get on TikTok. I was like, all right, well, if it goes viral on TikTok or whatever, it's just like learning. If it doesn't go, whatever. I'll just play around with it because I just been doing a whole bunch of marketing. Like the whole marketing campaign is like guerrilla marketing.
Dude, so with TikTok, start TikTok, try this framework, and then use TikTok as your testing ground. Okay. So
Hmm.
like because you don't have an audience there yet, the beauty of that is like you can just play. And like
Yeah,
don't stress it. Like don't stress if it's great content or not, but like try new things that you normally wouldn't necessarily do. So like let's say it's something silly, daddy daughter jokes or whatever, right? Like how to get your kid to laugh in 3 seconds with a mullet, whatever. Like you can come up with it, but that's the beauty of going on to new social platforms. And like for instance, for me with my Twitter
mm,
is my live notebook, right? So when I come up with an idea, I'll just shoot it down in a note and just publish it on Twitter.
yeah,
And it doesn't matter
okay,
what it is. It could be like any idea, and I have zero following, and I'm not trying to necessarily grow Twitter, but it's like at least I have something out there, and it helps me remember like, oh yeah, I tried that one thing or I had that one idea. So then when I do come to make content on
yeah,
Instagram and Facebook, I can go back through my Twitter feed and be like, oh yeah, I like that one, or
yeah.
or I might see that impressions got higher on one versus another.
And
So
it's also too,
treat
I think that how we look at like social media, I look at social media as like, hey, I want to document this. It's like a time capsule where like, hey man, if I'm like 7 years old hanging out with my boy on the beach, I'm like, yo, we did some cool shit back in the day. Look, they're like real. You can see the pictures. Like to me, it's like I love pictures. It says like a million words, so that's why like I'm always out there. But I guess we gotta wrap up the show and
yeah,
get
man.
to our work day. No, this is work, but
Yeah, I know I
like
screwed us up
our
because
real
I got on late.
our real work. We gotta go to our nine
Time
to
to
five
time to
jobs.
clock in, bro.
All right, well, excellent. So I guess we'll keep you updated. The next we're going live Monday and Friday, or putting out
Yeah,
the videos on Monday and Friday, and we're shooting ours kind of the same cadence as well too. So I'll see him in a few days. So the goal when good coaching is like to follow progress, like if he made any progress on it, even if he struggled, like being honest is the biggest thing about like
yeah,
coaching. Like people like tend to lie when the coach is in front of you. I was like, the coach always knows when you're lying.
right.
You're like, yeah, I don't drink any beers. I'm like, yeah, okay. But
You can smell. I can smell it on your breath. That's funny.
but maybe a topic for next week and then or for Friday so we could kind of meditate on it. What do you think?
Yeah, man. We can come up with something for sure. So I would say let's think about it. We'll chat over Messenger or something.
Okay. No
I don't have
cliffhanger?
something off the top of my head. I'm a little sluggish.
Oh, okay, okay. Let me
You
see.
know,
Let me
I
see.
got one. I
Oh,
got one. I know what we do. I know what we do. I know what we do. We recap our tasks of the day. That'll be
yeah.
more than enough for us. So,
You
like
get,
for me, I'll recap my 45-minute workouts and the things that I liked about them, because I'm going to talk positively about working out, because
Yeah.
I'm going to change my mindset, because I'm going to be happy about working out. So I'll talk about that, wins, struggles, that type of stuff. You can give me feedback. You do the same with your task of, how easy was it for you to come up with a hook, value, and a payoff? Was it a
Hmm.
struggle? Those types of things. Um, did
Hook
you see
value
any
payoff.
change in your engagement? So let's do that.
Yeah, I think that's a great. And we do a little follow up, and then we could talk about other cool shit that we always talk about, right?
Yeah, I mean, other
Yeah, you
things.
talk
Yeah, I
about
want to
the.
hear about more mean mugs.
I was thinking about a cool fight story to tell you guys. I was meditating on a Rocky story I wanted to tell you guys. Dude, I think the Lake Braddock fans will love this.
Oh
Dude,
yeah, man, I'm excited to hear
I
it.
have a really good Rocky story.
Well, let's do it next episode. So put that
Okay.
down in your notes.
All
So
right, it'll
yeah,
be the Rocky story.
and maybe that becomes our format, man. Maybe on like Mondays we do our tasks for the week of like what we're gonna try and just continue to build on that to become better. And Fridays we recap. It's kind of like
Yeah.
our own coaching program
Yeah.
that
All right.
we're sharing to the world. I don't know.
One
Something to think
love,
about.
bro. One love.
All right,
Okay.
brother.
Okay. I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Hey, let me throw out my gang sign.